Good morning. Today on Spotlight, Olga Stella, Executive Director of Design Core Detroit, discusses the new action plan that aims to drive inclusive growth in the city of Detroit. And later on, Bob Gregory of the Downtown Detroit Partnership will talk about the many free summer events coming to the Motor City's downtown parks. It's Sunday, June the 24th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight on the News. The last time we were here, we were talking about UNESCO and the significance of that. Since then, you've put together a mammoth report, I guess we could say. Bring us up to date.
Absolutely. So we've finally finished all of the planning work that we've been doing over the last 18 months related to the City of Design designation. And the Detroit City of Design Action Plan was released a couple weeks ago. We've over 50 partners who've all pledged projects to help bring that action plan to life. And we're really excited about that work and about what it means for the next 10 years for Detroit.
And this is a very diverse 50-plus people partnership, right?
We've got grassroots community partners, all of Detroit's leading academic institutions, businesses, the city government, all different kinds of players, because there's lots of different things that we can be doing to really help bring this designation to life. And a big part of what we found was that Detroit's opportunity around design and the role that design has in its future is really about leading the wave on a new trend in design called inclusive design.
So I want to ask you the question that I think the average person on the street would ask, and they would say, Olga Stella, why does design matter when you're talking about a city?
Because design touches every part of a city, whether it's the transit system or neighborhood parks, the schools that our children learn in, the places that we work. Design is literally, it's in buildings, it's in products that we hold, it's in those apps on our phone that we depend on. There's all these different elements of design. What often people, design is a big umbrella for a lot of disciplines: architecture, graphic design, user interface, product design, lots of different kinds of disciplines. And when those things work really well in a city works really well. When they don't work, we have problems. And I think in Detroit, we've seen what some of those challenges have been.
So as Detroit is going through this revitalization and really growing up in many respects, or right before our very eyes, what do you see as sort of the long-term outcome of all of this?
Well, what we believe is that Detroit can be a leader in the practice of inclusive design. This is an emerging trend and a different way of working, because what it really means is that you're including people of all different kinds of backgrounds and perspectives in design processes, and you're trying to develop places and products and systems that really work for everybody, not just for people who might seem like the norm or typical. And I think what that means for Detroit is that when we think about all this investment coming into our city, not just downtown, but into neighborhoods and all these changes, if we're really thoughtful about design, if we use inclusive design practices in all these different ways, we can create a city that has inclusive growth for everyone, where people who've been here and new people who come here can equally benefit in the opportunities.
And I think a lot of times when people think about design, they immediately think about downtown and midtown, those heavy commerce issues or locations, and particularly where restaurants and stuff are. But part of your study, or a good part of your study, is really concentrating on how design is weaving its way into the neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods, small businesses, parks, schools, all these kinds of places. I mean, lots of people don't realize the interplay, right, between these choices we make around, whether it's paint colors and materials and the way we lay out furniture, to whether or not someone's going to want to go into a business or use a park, or even how a kid learns in a school. There's all kinds of research that shows that design choices that we're making influence brain development in young kids. So part of what we're trying to do with all of these different partners from all different kind of parts of our community is really lift up this million ways that design impacts us every single day, and to really show, like, if we're thoughtful about it, and if we really think about people of all different kinds of backgrounds, people live all over Detroit, there's some real tangible benefits that go beyond even just the one thing that we're trying to make.
All right, we need to take a little break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the challenges that you're facing as all of this is evolving and some of the foundation support that you have.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back with Olga Stella. Don't go away. You recently announced a partnership with AIA, which stands for Architectural...
The American Institute of Architects Detroit chapter.
Okay. And what's that going to be about?
Sure. So we are in the midst of a commerce design competition where what we're hoping to do is really dig deep into Detroit neighborhoods and small business owners and lift up great projects regardless of their size or their budget and give them awards for great design. And part of what we're trying to do through this competition, we borrowed this competition from the city of Montreal, one of our UNESCO sister cities. What we're trying to do is really show not just residents, that design is right in their neighborhoods, in these places where they go shop or they go to the dentist, the pharmacy, the restaurant. But it also really adds to business value, and that you don't have to be a fancy downtown location to have good design. A neighborhood restaurant that doesn't have a big budget can have excellent design that represents the community and really, really serves the business. And so that's what we're trying to do through this competition, is give out a slightly different kind of design award than maybe you're used to seeing, and really start to create a community awareness around that there's good design in their own neighborhoods, and maybe they can do it too.
So as you try to pull all this together, which is an ambitious effort, what are the real challenges?
So a lot of it is helping people even understand what design is.
Right.
Folks get
what
architecture.
What
are we talking about here?
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like it's for me. I think part of it is our challenge is breaking it down so people can see that this is something that is for everyone. You don't have to be have some high-end taste or have a sophisticated background in arts to be a lover of good design. And even just helping people understand all the different ways that design is part of their lives, it's a big part of the challenge. And so part of the way we're trying to overcome that is by showing people in very tangible ways. In this school, the way that this classroom is designed impacts your kids and their ability to succeed. In this neighborhood business, and the way that the signage and the window and the menu all work together impacts whether or not that senior citizen down the block is going to come in here, as well as maybe a new resident into the neighborhood, and to really show people these really tangible ways that it matters, so that more people feel like not only is it for them and that they deserve it and can take advantage of it, and should go hire a designer. Ultimately, that's what we care about. Is we want more people to hire our great Detroit design firms to do work for them. But we also want more of our young people to see this as an opportunity for a career and for an opportunity in their lives. If you're creative, if you have creative, artistic ability, there's no reason why our Detroit neighborhoods can't be the pipeline for the next generation of great designers in America or in the world. And so really helping to make that connection, to make it a lot more accessible for people than what it's maybe been in the past.
And we'll be back with more questions to Olga Stella right after this. In the past, you've offered some summer camps. Will that continue into the future and this year?
So the College for Creative Studies offers a summer youth program, and some of our partners, the Hip Hop Architecture Camp at UDM, and some of our other partners do a lot related to summer youth and to those connections. We've been really happy when we did this call for City of Design partners. There's so many programs in Detroit that are really working with youth and with young people to help make that link between art and design and careers in design. And so we're looking to lift up all of those over the summer and into the coming year.
Okay, I want to ask you about a couple of specific things that when I was going through your information, Design legacy. What is design legacy?
So part of what we want to make sure people realize is that Detroit is a city of design, not because we've like invented the term or we just made this up, but we have a long history here, going all the way back to Henry Ford and the Model T and the assembly line. That process is a design innovation, all the way to the storied legacy of Cranbrook and Saarinen and what came out of mid-century and Michigan Modern. All the furniture companies, right, not only in our region but in our state, to the kinds of things that have been happening here today around the way that community designers have been working in Detroit neighborhoods on innovative ways to revitalize. So in our region, there's 150 designers of all different kinds of professions. We have some amazing educational institutions. There's a very long history here and a real asset base that we want to make sure people realize and recognize. We're building off something that's really real. We're not trying to import it from outside. We've already got the assets here that we can build off of.
You have several foundations that have lent support to you. Who are some of them?
Well, we've been so grateful to many funders, and including the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, who made a very significant 3-year $1 million grant to us to help kick all of this off. The William Davidson Foundation helped support the study and has continued on with another grant to help us implement some of the recommendations. The Kresge Foundation has been a really important funder. And now for some of the programmatic stuff, Bank of America is our presenting sponsor on the Commerce Design Competition. The Hudson Weber Foundation's come in. We've had great corporate support too from Lear Corporation and the platforms. Design economy.
What is design economy? And I guess the ecosystem is also involved in that.
Yeah, so one of the challenges in all of this is when we've looked at how people define design and the way they quantify it, right? Every place has got a slightly different definition of what they count and what they don't count. And so what we wanted to do was to be able to identify what's the core of Detroit design. So there's 10 industries, and you can name them, right? Graphic design, architecture, computer programming actually is a really important part of design, but you can name them. But what we looked at is for each one of those industries, they touch so many more industries. So those 10 kind of core design disciplines, you need 129 other kinds of industries to actually make the stuff, right, that comes up. So the simplest way to think about it is every architect needs a carpenter, every product designer needs a team assembler, every fashion designer needs a seamstress or a tailor, right? So there's a much bigger impact in the larger economy. So and when we do our events and we have our networking events, you're finding people associate themselves with design from all different kinds of backgrounds. And so what we wanted to really quantify was that while the core design industries only make up 1% of the businesses and 5% of the occupations in our region in the MSA, they actually touch 20% of the regional economic output. So there's a much larger impact that architect has than just the designs that they're coming up with. When those designs get built, they translate into real estate value. The same thing with the products, the cars, and the other products that get made, or the apps and the other kinds of things that are happening in technology. So part of what we found was when you start to draw those connections between the core design disciplines that usually have the word design in them, and the stuff that doesn't have design in it, there's a lot more people who are part of this larger story than I think most people would realize.
No doubt you've been really, really, really busy. What's the next big step?
Well, so we want to make sure we're really pushing forward on commerce design and this competition, and all throughout the year, not just with the awards portion of it, but also helping, doing a lot of workshops with small business owners and others to really help them get the tools of design into their hands.
Because small business drives most economies.
Oh, and they do, and it's a place where most residents are going to come face to face with it.
That's right.
We're working hard to really support our partners and helping tell their story and get them out there. And so we'll be doing some things related to that. I'm really excited that this year our Detroit Design Festival is transitioning to a Detroit Month of Design.
And that'll be when?
In September.
September
of this year. And it's just, we're not quite ready to announce the lineup yet.
Okay, all right.
But there will probably be something every single
You'll
weekend.
let us know.
Oh, we'll let you know. There's
Okay.
so much going on. So really, I think we're now at this point now gearing up and barreling towards Month of Design.
All right, Olga Stella, redesigning, reshaping the city of Detroit. Thanks so much for coming
thanks
in.
for having
Always
me, Chuck.
pleasure. Keep up the good work
Thank
and
you.
keep us updated. And coming up, Bob Gregory of the Downtown Detroit Partnership talks about the summer events in downtown Detroit. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Bob Gregory. He is Chief Planning and Public Space Officer for the Downtown Detroit Partnership. Offices just right over my shoulder. Bob, welcome back to Spotlight.
Thanks, Chuck. It's always great to be here.
It's good being with you. You're getting ready for another busy summer season. Roughly speaking, how many people visit downtown Detroit during the summer?
That's a good question, and I'm going to say it's in the millions. I mean, we're not going to count the folks that are going to the Tigers games and those things, but we're seeing probably a couple million plus that are coming now to downtown, and nobody's got an official tracker on that.
Sure.
But we can just see the spaces.
You know, it's a boatload of people.
It's a boatload of people, and over the last several years, it just keeps growing, Chuck. And it's not just the evenings and weekends; it's daytime. It's the weekends during the day. You're seeing a lot more people or families coming downtown with their kids and strollers, just to see downtown, to see the architecture and everything.
You've been involved with Detroit for so long, and particularly downtown, so you've watched the changes, you've watched the growth. How much and how fast is it changing from what it was, say, 10 years ago?
It is accelerating. The momentum is there, and you're right. I've been down here for a long time, and I never thought in my lifetime we would see a Detroit coming back like this downtown. And it's really a combination of, we think we're leading with the public spaces and activating these things, and we started with Campus Martius in 2004, and we just keep investing. The Downtown Detroit Partnership keeps investing thanks to our partners and our sponsors, but we believe we lead with the public spaces, making downtown look beautiful, having these places for people, things to do, and again, it's daytime, nighttime, weekends, and wintertime we have the ice rink, summertime we've got the fountain, we got the beach, and Beacon Park now is open, attracting millions of people there too. So the public spaces are really leading the transformation of downtown, and we're asked all over the country to come and speak on this, Chuck, and in Detroit is actually, we're fortunate, we got some beautiful spaces.
Absolutely. What I've noticed is the diversity down here, and I know that's something that doesn't just happen. It's a concerted effort by the programming and how you design things to make sure that you're reaching out to all sectors of Metro Detroit.
Absolutely, and that's a pillar of the DDP in terms of diversity and inclusion, and the programming we do, it's every space we're programming now, we're in 7 spaces now, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And the programming is each one of them is unique in its own way, but it is diverse. And I think you see the results that are the people that are showing up here. And it's everybody, all walks of life, every color, race, and creed and age. And it's something we continually engage the community. We have a lot of community stakeholder meetings, community engagement meetings, and we get that feedback. We monitor the social media, and we see what really works. And so it's a pillar of what we do.
I would mention the key word that tends to bring people out is that word free.
We're free.
Where you don't have to reach into your pocket and dish something out, but yet you can have a nice experience, and you can take the family out, and you can feel like I had a nice evening, a nice day, and it didn't cost me a boatload of money.
Free is the operative word, and you're right, because we're showing first-run movies on Saturday nights at Campus Martius. We have top-notch music at Beacon Park and Campus Martius. These are kinds of bands and music you would pay $25, $30 to $100 to go see, so you get to see it for free. You're absolutely right.
Beacon Park came on board last year with a big bang. They have really stepped up their programming. I mean, they came in with a lot, but they keep increasing it. And it's not just the concerts, which are big and bring great attractions in, but it's those day-to-day things. It's the day markets, it's the evening markets. That's been a big hit.
It's a big hit. I mean, and you mentioned the markets, and so it's all about really, again, working with diversity and getting these Detroit-based vendors that can come in here and sell their goods and get the market exposure. And so our Saturday night market is continuing to grow. And we now at Beacon Park, again, with support of DTE and their Beacon Park Foundation, you know, we opened this just a couple months ago, the Lumen Restaurant, which is there now. So a big addition to Beacon Park. And so the people that can go to the events, they have a place to eat, and we have the food trucks there as well. So it's something for everybody.
Yeah, the food trucks, I know that was a little bit of a debate when it first came on board, but now everybody loves it. And even those who have the established restaurants down here, they don't feel like that's a threat to them. It sort of complements everything.
It is. There are some that still think it's a threat. And and no, that's in every city in America it's that way, though, Chuck. Right. It's not just Detroit. But we started that program 6 years ago. There might have been 5 food trucks in all of Metro Detroit. There's probably 105 now. Can't keep track of them today. But the key thing that we like to say is that these food trucks are activating spaces that otherwise might be dead in terms of people coming there, and they pay us a daily rent to be there, and that money that comes into us goes right back in to maintain the parks, maintain the maintenance, to actually program the spaces. So just like the brick and mortar are paying their rents and taxes, these folks are paying to the DDP, and it's going right back into the city.
All right. As you sort of look in that crystal ball of yours and say, okay, what do we have to do to keep this momentum going and turn it up a notch? What's on tap maybe for next year that you can give us a sneak peek into?
Well, you know, we were just, I mentioned to you before we started the show, I was with Mike Murray the other day and Sandy McPhee, and we're coming up on our 15th, you know, tree lighting coming up for the winter, and that's a big deal, and we're going to see where we step that up and really have a fantastic tree lighting and moving into next winter. And the U.S. Figure Skating Championship is at Little Caesars, coming back to Detroit for the first time since it was at Joe Louis, and so we're seeing what we can do to parlay with that as well in January. And so we're dependent, Chuck. And I'm sure you know everything we're doing is privately funded. The city's a great partner of ours, but all the things we do to maintain these spaces, to program, is private funding. So we're constantly working to engage new partners, new sponsors, and we got some really great ones in DT and Quicken Loans and 40 other ones. But we need the business community to continue to help support us.
They're a key part of this. They help drive this.
They drive this. Without them, we couldn't be doing all the wonderful things we're talking about. So
both with their money and their employees.
Both. And the employees keeps growing downtown. But you know, most of the companies that are coming in are very civic minded. They want to be part of Detroit. It's rebound, and so that's the thing that's good for us.
Final question: is the message of how much downtown is changing and growing and the excitement, is that getting across to the rest of the state?
It is happening, and so we are seeing folks from all over the state come down here. There's still a lot of Metro Detroiters we still want to come down here as well, and that's the nice thing about allowing us to come on your show, Chuck, because your reach is so great and the exposure to
we're happy to do it.
To be able to let people know, you know, whether it's from Ann Arbor to Brighton or Flint or Port Huron, that this is happening in Detroit.
Right, well, a lot going on outside this window 24/7. Yeah. Bob Gregory, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks
Keep up
Chuck.
the good work at the Downtown Detroit Partnership, and we'll stay in touch with you.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right, and we want to thank you at home for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight, and come on downtown and enjoy the experience. Have a great week.